Welcome to the Waseca Small Town Big Stories podcast, presented by Bird's Eye Foods and Itron. I'm your host, Ann Fitch, the Executive Director of the Waseca Area Chamber of Commerce, where we promote business and enhance community. Today, I'm joined at the Suburban Furniture table with Katie Schroeder Gonzales, the new owner of the State Farm Insurance Office. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
Really good. I'm so glad you could join me here today.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Today, we're going to talk a lot about your journey back to Waseca because you are a Waseca graduate.
I am, yes. I graduated from Waseca High School in 2012. I did 3 quick years up at Bethel University in Arden Hills, and I got my elementary education degree.
Elementary education. Okay, into insurance.
Yes.
Easy jump.
Big jump, but did my elementary education. My whole life thought I was going to be a teacher, and I moved down to Phoenix right after college, taught kindergarten for a year and then 3rd grade for 2 years, and quickly realized that I don't love people telling me how to do my job, which is weird,
Yeah, very odd.
And just decided I needed to take a step back from the classroom. So I moved back to Minnesota briefly and was kind of nannying around just till I figured out what I wanted to do and found myself in sales and marketing. Someone told me, sales is very similar to teaching. You're still educating people. It's just you're educating adults.
Very much.
So I jumped headfirst into it because, if someone's probably still telling me how to do my job in sales, but it's not affecting a young person's life. So I jumped into sales and started training salespeople in road shows. So like if you've ever been to like a Sam's Club or a Costco and someone's like, hey, you want to feel my sheet? Like, those are my people. Yes. Those are my guys.
Come feel my sheet. Come try my little hot dog on a stick.
Exactly. Yeah, those are my guys. Those are my people. And trained them. I moved on to Cleveland to do that same thing, Cleveland, Ohio. Way better city than people give it credit for. Didn't hate it. But then the pandemic happened, and I had actually met my husband in that hiatus in Cleveland. And we, the pandemic happened. My job said, hey, we'll keep your job, but we can't pay you.
Oh, how nice.
I know.
You can have the job, but we will not provide you with income for said job.
Yeah, so it was a little problematic.
Yeah.
So I decided that I was going to move to be closer to my husband in Colorado, and was literally just looking for any job that I could find, ever. And State Farm called me back, an agent in Colorado Springs, and I walked into the office. It was an all-female office, and I was just really excited to see like a strong female entrepreneur, and drank the State Farm Kool-Aid real quick and was like,
was it red?
It was cherry for sure.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And I told her, I want to be an agent someday. And she was like, okay, let's get you on this track. And then 4 months later, my husband decided he wanted to get out of the Army. And I'm sure you guys know with real estate prices, especially in Colorado Springs, we couldn't stay. So we were kind of playing with our options. Where do we move? He's originally from Texas. So we decided to move down to some family land down there, attempt to plant some roots in Texas. And I just transferred to a different agent. Same experience. It was fantastic. Loved it. And really saw my career with State Farm. We had our baby in October of 2021, and I was like, this is really hard. Being a parent is harder than I thought it was going to be. And we couldn't find daycare. There's an awful issue with daycare all over, but in Waco, we could not find daycare at all. I was lucky enough, my agent let me bring him to the office for the first 6 months of his life.
Oh my gosh, how accommodating is that?
It was fantastic because we were way out in the country. If you've ever been on satellite Wi-Fi, you can't work on it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I either have to quit and he was like, I don't want you to quit. Just bring him to the office. So it's laid in the pack and play. I was able to work. It was great. But we quickly realized he's going to be mobile, and it's not going to work.
Right.
So I started job hunting, and as we were continuing to find daycare, and my parents were retiring, and I was like, well, maybe they'd just be willing to do grandma grandpa daycare.
Ooh.
And we would just move to Minnesota. And my mom was very quick to say yes.
Oh, that's so nice.
It was so nice. So I found another job. It wasn't with State Farm. It was in IRAs. I was helping people with helping precious metal dealers work with customers with precious metal IRAs, which is a very interesting space.
That is. We're going to circle back to that because I want to know more about that.
Very interesting space. But I just thought, maybe an agent's, it's not right now. My agent actually told me, maybe when you're 40, Katie. And I was like, okay, I got 12-year gap here to figure out. So let's get more experience in finances. And took that position. We moved back to Minnesota April of last year. And our son, Levi, got to do grandma grandpa daycare. I got to work from home. And it was really great. And we found a house that we loved. I called the State Farm office in Waseca to get it insured. And, I was talking to Debbie, getting quotes and everything. And the next day.
Of course you talked to Debbie.
Of course. She's the quickest person on the phone.
Oh my gosh, just half a ring and Debbie picks up.
She's the best. Was chatting with her. And the next day I get a call from Gloria. And she said, hey, Katie, I heard you're back. Did you know I'm retiring? And I said, I had no clue, and we got to talking, and she asked if she could refer me to her sales leader, who's like a territory manager, and I was ecstatic, but the first words out of my mouth were, Gloria, I'm not 40. She was like, what are you talking about, Katie? And so I had a really great conversation with her, had a really great conversation with Diane, my sales manager, and everything just spun really quickly. I had to go through a lot of testing and a lot of licensing, a lot of interviews, and 7 months of training. But I was able to open my own agency on August 1st. So
that is crazy that you're not even 40 and you own your own State Farm office.
I know, it's wild.
That is wild.
About 11 years earlier than I thought it was going to be, but I truly think it was like, I don't know, divine intervention or the stars aligned or something, and everything just happened the way it was supposed to. So
that is so awesome. What a journey around the United States just to come back home.
I swore, and like every high school student I think does when they're a senior, they're like, I'm never coming back here, and that was 100% me. And here we are. So
I think that the having kids and seeing that grandpa and grandma mom and dad can be quite an asset to that, especially in the climate of being so hard to find daycare, is a huge factor in moving home. I'm going to ask a question next that is something that my mom always asked me when I was a kid. Now, who are your parents? Now,
my parents are
mom and dad?
Steve and Jody Schroeder.
Perfect. Get a plug in for mom and dad.
Yes.
They're doing that daycare duty. They deserve to have their names out there.
Absolutely. And I feel like with all my customers too, they like see my last name and they don't know who I am. And I explain that I'm from Waseca, and they give me that like,
wait a minute.
Are you from Waseca? And I tell them my parents are like, oh yeah. My dad was at Brown's for, I was trying to calculate this morning. I don't know how long. So I feel like he knows like half of Waseca that worked at Brown Printing. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to circle back to what you talked about, your old job in precious metals. Tell me what that means.
Okay. So it's a very interesting space. So I worked in self-directed IRAs. So it's people who don't want to invest in the traditional bonds, stocks, etc. So I worked for a company who you could do alternative assets. So a lot of people would do like their IRAs, buy real estate with their IRAs. Digital was obviously really big. You could do like private debt. So you could say, hey, I'm going to write a promissory note to my, uncle with my IRA, and I'm going to earn interest on my IRA from his debt is very interesting. But I specialized with precious metals. So people could buy like gold or silver, platinum with their IRA money.
See, now that sounds very legitimate. The thing you just described, the promissory note to the uncle, sounds very like the movie The Big Short.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Never knew anything about it. My mother-in-law actually was in the same business, and that's how I found it. People are very crazy with their precious metals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like people would be like, they would pay money. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. People would pay money to go visit their metal at the depository.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like just to touch it.
Well, I mean, when you own gold or silver or platinum even, I think there is kind of like a cachet to like, I want to touch my metal.
Or people would like cash out their retirements early just so they could have it at their house.
Yeah.
It's a wild business.
Yeah. I mean, I used to work at a bank in Mankato and people would keep their precious metals in their safety deposit box. I don't know if you're supposed to or whatever, but whatever, none of my business. Yeah. But yeah, they like to come in and look at it often.
Yes.
And I don't own any precious metals, but hey, maybe if I do, I would want to.
Or like, and just like, I would like every serial number off of every single bar, or they're like buying full bars, or the specific little like, I don't know, 2023 Australian kangaroo coin. Like they're very specific about. It's very interesting.
But if you lose it, you want to know what it is that you just lost.
100%.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting just how different things hold different value, and you only want certain years. And I'm not into coins like that or metals like that. It was just a very interesting space. So I specifically worked with the dealers and like making and helping them with the operations on our end. So if people would purchase, I would make sure their purchase followed through with their IRA. And if it wasn't, were we missing paperwork? I was basically just the middleman and keeping the dealers happy.
But now you have to be very in tune on how to insure those things too now. So if you have folks in the community that own precious metals, Katie Schroeder Gonzales would be very in tune on how to keep those insured.
We have specific policies that are pretty competitive, but just a plug.
Yeah.
But to insure things like that, like precious metals, if you have gold jewelry, silver jewelry, specific policies that cover that type of thing on top of just your homeowner's policy. Typically, most homeowners' policies only cover up to a certain amount.
Right. Now, is that called like is it a rider?
Personal articles policy. It's like it's a separate policy. You can cover a lot of things with a personal articles policy, electric bike, a metal.
Got it. So if somebody is a collector of precious metals or diamonds or something of that effect,
we have
Schroeder Gonzales is gonna know what you're talking about. If you come in with your precious, don't come in with your precious metals. They're too precious.
Don't do it.
Don't drag them into the office.
And specifically, it's like only in jewelry that we can insure. If you just have like maybe coins, but I mean, if you just have like a bar, I probably can't help you.
Oh, can anyone?
I think it'd be hard.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Huh. I don't know.
And it may have changed, but just from my knowledge, I know.
I have like records. I have CDs. Those are not even certificates of deposits. Like I have now, that's what I call music volume 3 through 8. Those are the kinds of CDs I have.
Yeah. Britney Spears.
Yeah. Well, no, not
Britney?
even. Boys to Men.
Boys to Men. Okay.
Yeah. Those are the things I have. All for you. Yeah. That's. No, those are the CDs. Poison.
Pretty valuable.
Yeah, I know. I would say collector's items at this point.
Yeah.
Now, enough about the junk I own. Now, your husband came to your town, and you said he's from Texas.
Yes.
So how has he handled the move to Minnesota?
He loves
Waseca.
Minnesota. So this is how I sold it. I said, it's kind of like Texas. There's just a lot of corn, also similar to Texas.
And you worked in sales, you said, Katie? You worked in sales? That's how you sold it to him?
Yeah, well...
Okay,
and free daycare, saving an expense.
Yeah, that's good.
But he loves it. He loves Minnesota. He sees how important the support is for me to have. I think I didn't realize without being a mom how important it is to have your family around. And now I'm like, wow, I really want to spend time with my family. So he loves that. His family's all over the country. And so he's like, I get it. If your family's all in one place, it makes sense. But he loves it. He got to buy a snowblower. He got a new toy. It's great. What more could you ask for?
That's exciting for him.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes. He's also in insurance, so we're really fun.
Oh my gosh. You two are probably just the life of the party. Talking policies and
Love it.
Oh my gosh.
Discussing different riders and forms. And
yes.
it's
Oh,
fun.
I bet people just gravitate
They
to
love
the
us.
Gonzaleses.
We're fun. What can I say? But he's over at Federated, so
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
rivalries.
Yes. Do you guys just talk insurance nonstop at home?
It's really sad to say, but honestly, probably 75% of our conversations are about insurance, which is awful. But
Yeah, it is. But that's okay.
it's okay.
That's all right.
It's something we can bond over. We understand. Because I'll be honest, in Texas, he was in electrical work. And he would come home and try to tell me about his day. And I just, nope. I don't understand voltage. I don't understand the nuts and the
Sometimes it is hard to feign interest in something you
Yes.
really don't know anything about.
Yeah. So I just,
Yeah.
nodded. Sounds cool. Now we can actually talk about our days and understand whatever each person's talking about. It's great.
I suppose when he gets into actuaries and premiums, oh man. Whew.
And it's funny because we're coming from two different sides. He's in underwriting. So as the underwriter, he's all about like the facts and the risk. And I'm on the sales side. And I'm like, hey, whatever it
takes to get that person insured.
hey, let's just make sure they're covered.
Let's make it happen.
So that also leads to some heated debates. But
Now, being from Texas, I'm gonna make it a bit of an assumption. Is he a barbecue fan?
I would say he is the best pit master I have met, but I'm biased.
Right.
Yes.
But I think that's a fair bias.
Yeah.
How does he enjoy barbecue in Minnesota, or does he just kind of stay away from it? He makes his own.
Yeah, 100. I will say we are snobs. We are barbecue snobs. I never thought I would say that about myself, but now that I've tasted good barbecue and good Texas barbecue, I 100% understand why people are like that.
Sure.
So yeah, we make our own barbecue at home. That was our first purchase when we bought our house, was a brand new smoker, and we're already looking at probably 2 or 3 more, which I don't understand why men need more than one grill. I don't get it.
Well, if you're going to be grilling and smoking several types of meat at one time,
You need more than one. But
I mean, I bet that Texas can't wrap some ham and cream cheese around a pickle as well as we can up here. So
he loves some ham pickle wraps.
yeah, exactly. So Texas, you don't really know what you're doing down there with that. I'm just going to throw that out there.
But we had to plan our entire wedding around when he was gonna do the meat. So we got married during COVID. It was just our immediate families. We were at an Airbnb. We did the brisket overnight, but he was very concerned about when the ribs were going to be able to be put on so we could eat in time.
Right.
So we had to plan the whole day around when we had to be back for the ribs.
I think that that's a very valid wedding decision on planning the whole thing around when the ribs are going to be done.
Yes.
I don't see anything wrong with that.
So it happened. We got married. We had ribs. Everyone was happy.
Sounds like a glorious wedding to me, Katie.
It was great.
And you guys have been living in barbecue bliss ever since.
Absolutely. And I'm learning, like he'll trust me now to open the smoker if we do like a pulled pork, and I can spray the pulled pork.
Katie, look at you.
I know, I'm learning.
Look at you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You can spray the butts.
Yes, that's what I do. That's my job. I spray
Oh
the
my gosh, you're a butt sprayer.
Yes.
Look at you. I think you should get a t-shirt for
Butt
Christmas.
sprayer. Perfect.
I'm going to tell your husband.
State Farm on the front, butt
Butt
sprayer
sprayer on the back. Yes. Yes.
Perfect.
I don't know what kind of promo this is going to be at Waseca State Farm, but butt sprayers at State Farm.
Yep, that's what we know.
This whole podcast is derailed really quickly.
There's the headline, just like State Farm butt sprayers.
Yep, State Farm butt sprayers.
Yes.
Holy cow. We're going to move on quickly.
Yes, sounds good.
But regardless, Katie, you talked about moving your family here. What has it meant to you to be home in your community?
Like I said, as a senior, I was like, I'm never coming back. And I don't think it was until, the last 5 years that I really realized how good of a community Waseca is to raise a family. In southern Minnesota, altogether. Growing up, I was just like, it's small, there's nothing to do here. But I think there's something to say about the strong community that we have. I just think about my time as a student and going through, like, losing our class lost Alec Kruger, and the way the community bonded together and how strong we felt right after that. My senior year, we lost Abby Wenlin, who I danced and cheered with, and our community after that. And I just thought, why wouldn't I want my family to be in such a strong community like that? And then I also think about just the programs that built me, like the band, the choir, the dance, the cheerleading, the Waseca pageant program. And if I'm going to own a business, I want to be able to be around the places that contributed to put me into the spot that I am today.
I think that's awesome. I think just coming back, and not only coming back home, but to buy a business is just so admirable. And I love to see people come to that realization that, geez, Waseca really helped form me who I am, and why wouldn't I want to come back and contribute to that? And at such a young age, I just think that what you're doing is fantastic, and I think that once you come back, we kind of got you.
I don't see us going anywhere else. So.
Oh, I'd love to hear that. Before we wrap up, what is kind of one mistake that you find people making in their insurance?
I think a lot of people just want the cheapest, especially in today's environment with the way inflation is. It's crazy. Everything's expensive. So people are just looking for the cheapest, and cheapest does not always equal better. As far as like limits go, if you're getting cheaper, most likely you're getting lower coverage, which is never good. Again, because of the way inflation is, things are costing more and more and more. If you're in anything besides a single car accident, most likely you're not going to have enough coverage to pay out, which you never want to be in that situation. Cheaper is not always better either, because what kind of service are you getting? I see, I know I'm biased, but Debbie and Barb, I think, are the best and are so good at customer service. They've been there for, altogether, we all have almost 70 years of experience, and they're so knowledgeable. I'm still learning a ton from them. And for them to be able to answer your phone on the first ring and have them take care of you, I think is worth anything, pretty much. Whereas any other, you're going to call and you're going to sit on hold, and you're going to press 1 for English, and you're going to sit on hold again, and then you're going to type in your social security number and press pound, and they take care of all that for you, which I think is pretty fantastic. So,
yeah, I think you're right. The cheap premiums, they seem really great every month, but then when something happens, the cheap premiums don't feel so good.
It's awful to be on the side of, well, this is how much coverage you asked for.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that this is all we can provide. I hate being on that side of things.
Oh, yeah, that'd be difficult.
Yeah. A brand new car right now is minimum $50,000. If you have state minimums, which in Minnesota, property damage is, I think, $10,000, $15,000, you're barely making a dent in someone's vehicle. So I will be the first person to tell anyone that they have a better policy than we do, but I rarely see it.
I think that's sage advice, because it's hard to tell someone that you have to pay more if you want better coverage, but it's equally as hard to say, I'm sorry you don't have better coverage, and this is where it leaves you.
Absolutely. And I get it. Like, people, why are my insurance rates raising? Why is everything so expensive? Well, I look at the cost to build a home now. Just lumber is insane. Plus, labor is probably never going to go down. How can you go down from where it's at now? We've had more hail claims in the last year than ever. Last year, in the state of Minnesota alone, we paid $1.08 on claims for every dollar we received in premium.
Jeez Louise.
So we lost quite a bit of money last year. And so, rates are high, but you're paying for your claim to be paid out when you need it.
Holy cow. Geez, yeah, and it's amazing how insurance has evolved in payouts, and how it takes care of customers. Like, I remember in the 2016 floods in Waseca that State Farm customers in town were talking about how State Farm was just writing checks. And I thought that was unbelievable. Just handing out checks out of the office. Like, what? Just handing out checks? That's unheard of.
That's a huge benefit that we have, I think, is, Barbara and Debbie and myself are all authorized up to a certain amount to, if you have a claim, we can write it right out of the office. You have a tow, we can reimburse from your tow. It doesn't take 2 weeks to get back to you. You have a devastating claim where you can't live in your house anymore. Let's go get you in a hotel. We can buy you some clothes. We can get you some food right away, which I know not a lot of companies offer that service either.
Geez, Katie, that was a really long before we wrap up. That was like one of the longest, but that's okay. It was very deserving of the answer. Katie, I really want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank you immensely for coming back to Waseca and buying a business. I just think it's very admirable of you to do that. Go visit Katie and her team over at State Farm on 2nd Avenue Northeast here in Waseca. Thank you so much to our sponsors, Itron and Bird's Eye Foods. Without them, we would not be able to tell the big stories of our small town. Join us next time for Waseca Small Town Big Stories.